Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Marilyn's Cafe Society radio show. Yeah, it's a Wednesday. How about it? A Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. Listen, I'm sitting in the house just kind of going stir crazy. Yeah, for those who follow me on the social media, you probably saw that I actually attempted to put together a show this past Saturday, but because of my grief and um, everything that myself and my family has been experiencing in the last month or so, it was just kind of hard to get through it. So, because, it's just absolute must that we press on, right? So I'm going to press on, and I decided to bring you a special edition of the Cafe Society on this day. All right, so how have you been doing? I know everyone's getting stir crazy. People are out protesting. They want to get out of the house. They want this whole coronavirus, COVID-19 situation to be over, but we just can't flip a switch and make it over. Prayer is a powerful thing, and we can pray it away. But we also have to, follow the instructions of the experts, the scientists, and do it the way they say. I like the way our Illinois governor is handling things. He actually released the plan for the state of Illinois last week, and it sounds pretty reasonable to me. Right now, we're in step 2 of 5. I believe it's a 5-step plan. So at the end of this month, May 30th, we will move into stage 3, which will allow the retailers to open up. Of course, there will be some stipulations, and we'll talk about some of this and some of the reports that I'll be bringing you today. But it all has to happen in stages, everyone. And I was checking out a YouTube video earlier this morning. Scientist was on CNN, and he sort of shared some situations that we all should try to avoid in order to keep ourselves healthy and alive, and to not potentially hurt others. Because remember, the scary thing about this coronavirus is that you could have it. You could actually be a carrier, but not have any symptoms. You feel fine. You look fine. You feel fine, but you have it. And so when you go around others, just from talking, God forbid, should you talk loud, because apparently the louder you speak, or even if you sing, you're you emit more droplets, and of course they linger in the air, and that's how people catch it, by breathing it in either through their mouth or their nose. And so we certainly don't want to do that to others. So he was just saying to avoid closed in spaces where there's lots of people, obviously, especially if they're not wearing their PPE, covering their mouth and nose. Also, he recommended that in your workspaces, if you're in a workspace, for example, a call center or somewhere like that where there's lots of bodies in a space, you want to avoid that as well, because of, obviously, the more people that you're around, particularly if they're not wearing protective gear, the higher the risk that, someone may catch the virus. And then he also noted that, and this is interesting, and I don't know how we're going to avoid being in air conditioning during the hot summer months, but some air conditioning units have been found to have the virus in it. So, and it sort of circulates through the air. So again, I guess, it would be up to the owners of the buildings to ensure that the air conditioning units are clean and safe, and all of that. But I thought all of that was so interesting, right? And so hence this whole new term, social distancing, which really we don't want to take away the social aspect of humanity, right? We're human beings. Human beings need other people. But the distancing, physical distancing, is the focus of it all, you know. So, sure, like a friend of mine was supposed to pop by over the weekend to say hi, staying in the car, and I step out on the porch and we converse that way. And so sadly, you know, it has to be that way for a while, but May 30th here in Illinois, we may get a little bit more rope. You know, the leash will kind of extend a little further out for all of us, and we'll get to, you know, do a little bit more. You know, just for sanity purposes, I get out of the house, you know, a couple times a week. Even if I don't need anything from the store, I just kind of go out and pick up a few things and, you know, just kind of people watch. I'll drive around a little bit, just especially when it's a pretty day and the sun is out, right? And sometimes I'll just go out and just breathe in some fresh air and get some sunshine. So we have to do that. That's, of course, I do video chats and lots of phone calls and things of that nature, just to keep some sanity. It's hard. Yeah. So I don't have small children to keep me busy and all of that stuff. So I've read books, although, you know, in recent weeks I just haven't attempted to do any reading because there's just no focus there. It was just too much going on. But prior to that, you know, I was attempting to read books, and then I'd go to videos and to YouTube and to social media and on the phone, and, you know, just a little pattern like that to keep myself occupied. And of course, prior to COVID-19 and then all of the all that my family has experienced, you know, the focus was on leveling up, right? Going to the next level in business. Of course, my focus was this show, trying to get the show back to the next level. Of course, you guys who've been with me know that we were set back a few years ago when we were no longer able to broadcast on radio, and so we've been YouTubing it for about 3 years now, and you know, just trying to get better and do better. And of course, COVID-19 has thrown a curveball, so we're going to figure it all out, everybody. We're going to get through this. We truly, truly are. So again, I just, you know, to keep myself busy, my mind occupied, to stay in routine, I decided I'd pop in today to just bring you a special edition of the show. And of course, since we're talking about the coronavirus, here's the latest news on that. It looks like the House Democrats are proposing a fourth relief package that's going to be worth $3 trillion, people. That's right. $3 trillion. Did I just say that? The last one was $2 trillion, right? So there's plenty of money. I don't know all of the details of the breakdown, but I believe $875 billion will go directly to state and local governments to give them some cushion and some ability to help, you know, their constituents. $175 billion will go towards testing and health care, you know, to ramp that up and come up with, you know, vaccines. And, you know, the testing is key because once you're tested, you'll know if you have it or if you had it. And then, you know how to proceed from there. And then in the healthcare, of course, you know, to purchase, heaven forbid, should we have a second wave of this, which the experts are saying, based on how the states handle this reopening that's happening now, we could have a second wave of this in late summer, early fall. So we need to have things in place in healthcare to make sure that we're prepared and ready to go. Another 75 billion will go to housing assistance. As you know, many folks have lost work due to this COVID-19, and we're in what, month 3 now, and so people just aren't able to keep up with their necessities, and so part of this money will be available for that as well. And I'm hearing, I've heard 2 different versions of this. I don't know which one is true, but I'm hearing that they're going to do the 1,200 stimulus money to all Americans, like we did, what, a month or so ago, $1,200 in stimulus money. And then, of course, if you have children, you'll get, I think, another 500 per child or something like that. And that's one version. The other version that I heard is that they are wanting to give each household or each individual $2,000 per month through the end of 2020. I think that's what I read. And then should this thing carry into 2021, it would reduce to $1,000 a month. And this is on top of whatever unemployment benefits that those who are unemployed or laid off or on furlough as a result of COVID-19 would get. Again, 2 different versions. I'm not sure if it, this is the 4th relief package, so I'm not sure if what I was reading was based on the 3rd relief package or this one. But anyway, $3 trillion. $3 trillion is the proposal, and we will see. We will see what happens with that. It's a head scratcher, isn't it? This whole situation is a head scratcher, but we'll get through it. We will. All right, and speaking of billions and trillions of dollars, it looks like the United States budget deficit grew to a record $738 billion in the month of April. And then in other business, on yesterday, the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, wrote an email to employees that the company will start to allow the workers there to work from home permanently. According to the email, he said that he and officials there had initially planned this to happen, work from home opportunities to happen anyway, but because of this coronavirus pandemic, plans got pushed up. Google is also on board with the work from home opportunities. They're going to be allowing their workers to work from home up through 2021, next year. Facebook is also offering the opportunity to work from home to their employees, but their offices plan to reopen after the July 4th weekend. So I'm not sure if all employees will still be able to work from home or some, but they are planning to reopen some offices after the July 4th weekend. Other major corporations like Morgan Stanley, the Barclays, and so many more have added measures that also allow their employees to work from home. This work from home business 10, 20, 30 years ago was almost unheard of, right? You had a few companies that would allow mothers of newborns, or those who had home responsibilities, family responsibilities, the opportunity to work from home, or even those with handicaps. But it was usually shunned upon and not an option. So it's amazing how something like this can cause businesses, managers, executives to kind of look at the world differently and see that we can in fact make this work from home business work. Now the bad part about the work from home, it could have a devastating effect on commercial real estate, right? Particularly if some businesses decide that they want to do this permanently, then they would need the office space. it looks like, with COVID-19 happening, and, prior to COVID-19, the economy wasn't doing all that well. Well, to some degree, it wasn't. And commercial real estate has been suffering for a while now. And it looks like, if some of these businesses and major corporations decide to make this work from home option a permanent thing, that the impact on commercial real estate will be devastating. Now, back in the day, you weren't a business until you had an office, right? Um, or you didn't feel important until you had your corner office of a major corporation. But I would say, even going back the last 20 years, especially with technology advancing as it has, we've kind of seen people be able to do work from their phones, or laptops and computers, from home anyway, without an office. I did it with this show for many, many years, conducted business right from my phone via emails and text messages and everything else. But it, I guess the average lease in commercial real estate is 10 years. And I guess because of the state of business and things not going so well, particularly now with COVID, a lot of commercial real estate property owners are going to have to offer some flexibility to these businesses that may want to continue to lease from them, but not be locked in a 10-year lease, because they don't know. You know, no one saw this COVID-19 coming, right? At least us mere mortals. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't see it coming. So we probably won't know the true number or the true effect of how this is going to have, how COVID and the working from home, the effect that it's going to have on commercial real estate, probably until we're well into 2021. Then we'll probably get a better picture of how things will go. So there will be companies, though, however, who are still in place or will be returning to their offices, and things are going to look different if they haven't already made the adjustments, which, according to the federal mandates and some states, you have to have that physical distancing between people. So when you go back to work, you're going to see those little traffic markings on the floor that you should follow to enforce that social distancing, to make sure that people are keeping at least 6 feet apart. And of course, 15, 20 years ago, the open office concept became a big thing. Prior to that, everybody was in little cubicles. I've worked in cubicles before. You're in a little box, and on all sides of you are panels that are covered with some kind of fabric, and you can't see on either side behind you. There's just a little door opening in the front for you to come in and go out of. And they were cubicles, and they were the rave, and it was everybody's little mini office, right? And then, of course, this open office concept situation happened, where the cubicles were removed and everyone could see each other, and it supposedly worked better. Well, because of this COVID-19 and what offices have to do now, that concept of cubicles is coming back, but instead of the 6 foot, 7 foot high panels with the cloth covering, they're going to be more like plexiglass covering, so you'll be able to at least see the people on either side of you, but there will be barriers to keep people safe. All right, and then in retail, some are utilizing new technology to keep their stores uncrowded. And let's see, which ones are doing this? It looks like Walmart. I don't know if you've been in a Walmart lately, or Target, or some other stores, which are considered essential stores, right? What they have at the front door are real people counting the number of people who come into the store. Well, some retailers have turned to technology, the high tech, and like Foot Locker and H&M, for example, they're installing a digital bouncer system. It's called People Count, and what it is it's a system that has cameras at the front door that actually track the number of customers who enter the store, and near the cameras, the customers will see screens which will show you how many people are in the store, and when the store reaches the capacity, because there's these mandates out now where there can only be so many people per so many square feet in the store at one time. So once capacity is reached, the screen will turn red as a signal for the customers to stop, and they have to wait until the screen turns green before they can enter into the store. Now, in some other cases, there's an automatic lock on the doors that will lock once that capacity number is hit, and the people on the outside of the store will have to wait in line before the doors unlock and they can enter the store. Isn't that interesting? Who would have ever thought of that? There's some other safety protocols that you may have noticed already, like the decals or markings on the floor that tell you to walk in this direction or that direction. And then as you approach the cash registers, there's markings where you have to be at least 6 feet away from the person in front of you. You've seen the plexiglass barriers that are up now, protecting the cashiers or clerks from any droppings that you may spew out as you are talking. And then some retailers are even deferring to the technology that existed prior to COVID. You know, the automatic pay, or the Apple Pay or Smart Pay, where you don't even have to make contact with each other. Yeah, there's no passing of cash or anything. You just kind of tap your phone or pay in advance or however that is, but there's no contact between the cashier and the customer when it comes to payment in that way. So just, different ways that these retailers and businesses are trying to keep their people safe and healthy and protected during this pandemic that we're all experiencing. Now, in other business news, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that PepsiCo, GM, and General Motors and General Mills are backing out of the third quarter ad agreements with television networks. Now, supposedly effective May 1st, companies were allowed to cancel up to 50% of their quarter 3 ad commitments. Of course, they were required to give the networks a 60-day notice, but and I guess they did that. And this is resulting in a loss of ad revenue that could total up to $1.5 billion. Oh my God. They say that the companies are hesitant to spend on television ads because they're anticipating, one, that there will be minimal new programming, right? Because, the production companies can't even film new shows right now because of the social distancing, physical distancing aspect that has to happen. And number two, because they are thinking that consumers, no matter how many ads you throw at them, consumers are just holding on to their money right now. They're only buying necessities, which primarily is food and medicine. All right, so they're saying that there's only one broadcaster that has released their fall schedule as of today, and that's Fox. So, maybe it's a lot of old programming because a lot of productions were shut down due to COVID-19. Anyway, we'll all stay tuned and see how that pans out. Ah, boy. Impactful, right? This COVID-19. Has anyone traveled? Has anyone been able to travel yet? I'm interested in knowing. I failed to see if international travel has opened back up. I think just in special cases, but within the United States, I believe folks are still traveling. Although I've heard stories where there's only been a handful of people on one big old jumbo jet. So I don't know. All right, well, let's get into some cafe talk, everybody. How do you continue to do business when there's a pandemic like this going on? How do you continue to do business? We've heard of so many small businesses that have to close their doors, or they're hanging on by a shoestring. So how do you continue to do business, especially when what you're selling is not essential? Again, I just said most people are just spending on necessities. Those with families, with children, their kids are home from school because school has been canceled. Well, not canceled, but school is now happening online. So the kids are home all day, every day, 24/7. Ooh, I wonder how that's working out. Husband and wives are home all day, 24/7. How is that working out? Come November, December, January, February of next year, I wonder how many new babies are going to be born, and how many divorces are going to happen. All right. Anyway, we're going to go back to where I was going with this cafe talk, and that's, how do you continue to do business? How do you do it? Especially when people are just focusing on the necessities. How do you sell to a customer? Well, I guess one way to do it is to sell the fact that they need, to emphasize the fact that it is needed, whatever it is that you're selling. Hopefully, if you can do that, you gotta somehow sell it as a need to them, right? That's kind of the trick of advertising, by the way. But in this pandemic time, and with COVID-19 happening, and people losing loved ones right now, and folks have come down with the virus but have fought it. So it's a real thing, and people are really sobering up right now and being serious with their money. And because everyone was scared to death back in March, traumatized, the world's gonna end, so I think folks have learned the importance of holding on to a dollar. So if you're trying to sell something right now, you really gotta be meeting a short-term need of theirs right now, because that's kind of where people are right now. They're thinking of their short-term needs. That's sort of the mode we've been placed in with all of these mandates put in place. You only leave your house. I don't know what's happening in other states, but for the state of Illinois, we're only supposed to leave our house if we're going to get food, medicine, to the hospital, or to the doctor. Period. That's it. So, bare necessities is the focus right now, those short-term needs of ours. And so you got to try to dial that in on whatever it is that you're selling, that, yeah, we're in this pandemic. Yeah, we're only focused on essentials, things that are needed, and this is why you need this. I know it's a stretch. It's a dilemma for me too. To get myself out of the funk that I've been in for the last month or so, I've really been trying to focus back on the show and ways that I can build it up and hopefully take it to the next level. And that was one of the things that I asked. How do you, especially just reading this report where, these major corporations aren't even really spending ad dollars, particularly on television right now. Maybe gotta get comfortable here. Maybe they are shifting their focus towards you know, YouTube and some other ones. But that was one of, my dilemmas. I was like, how do you actually fix your mouth to ask people for money right now during this pandemic? So another tip, if you're going to try to sell during this time is, just to keep it simple. Don't make it complex. Don't come up with this master, lengthy plan. Just keep it simple, because right now people are going through some real stuff right now. I just told you, kids are home. People are working from home with their kids at home, and their spouse is probably home who is working from home. So it's a lot of mess going on, and throw in the mix that perhaps a loved one, a family member, someone is fighting COVID, or they know someone who has passed from COVID, or maybe not even COVID, just passed from whatever it is that they were suffering from. There's a lot going on with people right now. So you don't want to come at them with a lot of complex, long, drawn out stuff. You want to keep it simple, make it easily to digest, and again, stress that it is a need, something that they can't do without. All right, and then another tip is to speak directly to the decision maker. You don't want to put too many people in the mix when it comes to this. So make sure that you get the decision maker, the person who's going to sign the contract, seal the deal, write the check. Okay? And the next tip is to make sure that you can deliver on whatever it is you're selling. You want to be able to deliver, whether it's a product, a service, or whatever it is, you want to be able to deliver. And we know right now the supply chain is broken. People are scrambling to get things right now. So whatever it is you're selling, whatever your source is, make sure that it is deliverable, right? Because you don't want to go through the pain of making the sale, and then, whatever it is that you're selling, the folks have to wait on it. And then lastly, well, not lastly, because we'll get into some more tips on Saturday when I bring you the show, but another tip that you can use is to stay flexible with your customer. If it's a package that you're selling, maybe they only want to do part of the package and save the rest for later. Be open to that, but don't let it get too far out. For example, they may say, well, I can do this today, and then in 3 months I can do that. No, you don't want to go out 3 months. You want to keep it within 30 days, maximum 60 days, right? So have some flexibility, but at the same time, you want to make sure that there's a sense of urgency and closing the deal completely, right? Closing the deal completely. So those are just some of the tips that I came up with in terms of wrapping your brain around how do you continue to do business when we're in the middle of a pandemic. How do you continue to do business? Those are some of the tips. Again, on Saturday, I'll look at a few more that I'll share with you, and hopefully, like me, you can go ahead and get out there and try to make some things happen. Now, before we go, I do want to look at some fun cafe talk. And so I was thinking, actually this morning I was out and about, running in from store to store just to kind of see where things are, compared to early March when I went into the store and was just totally floored with what I saw with the empty shelves and everything. So this morning I got out and about and kind of went into a couple of stores and observed that there is toilet tissue on the shelves. There is paper towels on the shelves now. Of course, the shelves are not full, but they're not empty. So there's, and this was in every store that I went to, compared to a month ago and 2 months ago when I went into the stores. Nothing. So there's a sign of hope there. One of two things are happening, is that we're going to get through this, or the suppliers have stepped up their production and are bringing out more to meet the demand. They're bringing out more supplies, or maybe a little bit of both is happening. But it felt good to see that. I just wanted to say that. But leading up to this cafe talk question that I'm going to ask you to chime in on, either on my social medias, or maybe I can open up my phone line, or you can text me on Saturday to let me know. So based on the obsession that folks had with toilet tissue, and still have with toilet tissue right now, and taking into account that this is a poll that has been taken here and there over the years, about toilet paper in general, and here it is. Do you prefer to hang your toilet paper over or under? Do you prefer hanging your toilet paper over or under? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Over or under? All right, so again, I'll give you some time, a few days to think about it, and then you'll tune in this coming Saturday for the show, and either call me or text me, or find me on my social media, Marilyn's Cafe Social on Twitter, Marilyn's Cafe Society on Facebook, or YouTube. Marilyn's Cafe Society on YouTube. All right. Also, remember the blog. The blog will be posted, if not tonight, first thing tomorrow. I'll have a new blog up for you guys to read. Thank you so much for your support on the blog. I appreciate that. And again, thanks to everybody who reached out to me just to check in. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And for those who have been trying to gently nudge me to get me going again, I appreciate those gentle nudges. I really do. All right. All right. So before we go, I'm going to tell you what love is. And boy, to my surprise, I can't find love is anymore. So I'm just going to have to create my own, right? So today's love is love is unforgettable. Love is unforgettable. All right. And remember, everyone, if you don't do anything else this week, be sure that you live, you laugh, and by all means, love. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege. We'll talk again this Saturday the 16th, right here on Marilyn's Cafe Society radio show on YouTube. Have a good rest of the week. Peace.